Guess who's back? Back again. Mole is back. Tell your friends. Award for cringiest start of the video may go to that one, but just be glad you didn't get the longer version with the montage, which was G's idea. But I wanted to reintroduce Mole to the channel because my Wartburg Knight hasn't actually seen the OG Cars channel for a while. And not just that, it hasn't even really seen the road for a while. So let's go back in time and see why and how on earth we've got to this point here. Let's just briefly go back then and see what the problems were. Back at Rustival last year, the first one, I tried to get there, plastic pulley exploded, bad news, had to get transported back and take G's car. Fair enough, whatever. I thought I'll just put my spare used metal pulley on there, which is meant to be a little bit better. Unfortunately, it didn't even make it as far to the next show, which was the NEC. And the pulley must have had a bit of a crack in it, and it basically just exploded. So I got transported up by Sam. Again, big thanks to Sam, my Lord and Saviour, with his trailer. And at the NEC, we fitted a spare pulley, and I did actually change and adjust the dynamo, so it's actually running more in line with the belt and everything else, in case that was an issue previously. Now, after that, I'd had to basically top up the vehicle's water on the way home from the NEC, and I just thought, you know what, I think the head gasket's gone. I'm going to park it up and think about it another day. So it's been a fair while since then, and I can blame myself for this, for not chasing it up quite as well. But basically, I was just going to try and get a rebuilt head. And a good friend, Bella, who I've done a few deals with the Wartburgs in the past, who lives on the continent and has got a right-hand drive as well, he was going to sort me out a rebuilt head. He did actually send it out, but I don't know what happened with postage, but it was sort of 2 or 3 months down the line, and in the end it got returned to him, and I'm not entirely sure why, and it just never got to me. So I really wanted to take this to the IFA Club meet for the Foxfield Railway weekend, and so I thought, you know what, I'll set to work using a spare cylinder head, which I had no idea about, had no idea if it was going to work. And I'm pleased to report that the new cylinder head gasket and spare cylinder head are actually working and drove me over 300 miles on the Foxfield Railway weekend. What a car. So what's the Wartburg like to drive? Well, as you can tell, it's a little bit noisy, but it's a really interesting drive. It's a really revvy engine. You can really rev it out. And, you know, even though it's only got 50 horsepower, it still accelerates fairly well considering. Engine's on. No, it's not. Well, it is. It's on freewheel. It's at idle. So it's got freewheel on second, third and fourth, which is another interesting feature as well. And it's basically there just to save the engine, give it some oil at idle. But yeah, it's an interesting quirk. And then we have corners. This car is a little bit wallowy. I don't really know how they used them as rally cars. They must have done something with the suspension. Either that or they have massive balls. But once you've finished a corner, it almost feels like the car is still turning for a moment while it settles. But it's 51 years old. I might have to get G to overlay this, but the fuel gauge has stopped working as well. I did admittedly have an issue with the fuel tank. It kept blocking up with rust, so I had to clean it all out before I took it to Foxfield as well. But I think it needs a new gauge as the tracks and the resistors are all ruined on the original one. But yeah, the gauge occasionally goes crazy, but right now it just doesn't work at all. One of the best things about this car is how it sounds, so let's pull over and just listen to it in all of its glory. Well, as I say, it is an experience to drive this car. That's what a proper door sounds like when you shut it. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, of course. There are bad things. I can't beat it up too much though. Cosmetically, I'm going to mention this now. The last couple of years have not been that kind to it. Admittedly, while it was broken, I say broken, it was broken. It was in the garage, so it wasn't too bad, but ultimately the rust bubbles on the bonnet and on the rear arch and around the boot lid, they've not been getting any better, and they will need attention at some point. That's not to say that the paintwork on the whole isn't amazing, although with a polish it doesn't come up too badly. Although, given the chance, maybe in a few years' time, this car will get a full respray and perhaps the chrome's done as well, as they're rusting on the top a little bit. But other than that, it's actually doing pretty well. Obviously, the engine is working. I've got that spare head on it. There's a nagging doubt that says I should still replace it at some point, so if I can still get that rebuilt head at some stage and then use my spare block and my spare new cylinder piston heads at some point, I can amalgamate them all together, make something nice. I can just swap it in at some stage. But right now this is working, so I want to enjoy it while I can. And the other thing to mention is the interior. Now, I'd like to do a little bit of something with it at some point. It's not actually that bad, but all the radio wiring has been cut out because it tangled itself around the wiper motor and actually stopped the wiper motor from turning, which is an issue I've never even heard of, but the Wartburg made it happen. And well, the seats aren't terrible, but there's a little bit of a hole in the front seat there and there's a bit of staining on the back. I don't know if they could be repaired and fixed up, but originally this car probably would have had the black and kind of silverish style interior, which may be quite nice to get if I can ever find one. But right now I'd like to just use the car, enjoy it. And that's the thing, I've got quite a lot of projects and a lot that need a lot of work. And as this is a car that I'm currently planning on keeping for the long term, I want to do it right. And I think I'll get all the stuff done that I want out of the way first, and then I can really focus on this at some point down the line. A lot of people have been asking me questions about the Wartburg, people I know and people I don't know alike. People just randomly on the street that look at the car and obviously see a 51-year-old Wartburg, which they end up calling a Lada, and I correct them, and really want to ask questions because they're interested. Let's answer a couple of those questions now. Let's go quickfire into a few of those. First question, why is the car called Mole? Answer, take the last 4 here and just reverse the image. Question 2, why did you buy a Wartburg? Why would you want one of those? Well, answer, I thought it was kind of funny and I bought my first left-hand drive 353 as a joke and imported it because I thought it was so hilarious. And then ended up buying over 10 of the things. Just absolutely loved them and loved the UK heritage of the Knights, of course, as well. And then question number 3, is it a Lada? Answer, no, it's not. It looks like a Revs original. Doesn't look like it's a Lada, does it? I don't know, you tell me guys. Question number 4, and this especially goes out to a random lady in Chippenham that I drove past one time. Is this car mega polluting to the environment? She wasn't saying it quite as nicely as that, obviously. 2-stroke, a bit fumey sometimes. Well, 1, there's not actually that many of these cars around. There's a really small handful, and 2, people don't really use them that much, maybe a few weekends a year. And 3, probably not as bad as buying a new car every 2 to 3 years. I don't know. In addition to that point, you could even get your very own Trabant tree in Wartburg Woods, courtesy of the IFA Club website. Go check it out. You can donate, get your own tree, and it offsets some more emissions. And it even looks a little bit better than a small shrubbery. Being at this angle has made me realise that there's a question 5, which I should be asking myself, which is, when am I going to change that exhaust? It's hanging a bit low. It doesn't look quite right. That was my repair. It'll be fine. So, quickfire questions over now. Let's just start wrapping it up, really. I mean, this car, it's nice to actually have it back. I had those thoughts, you know, where it had been off the road so long and I'd lost the love for it so much. I just didn't know what to do and if I should even maybe consider selling this and some other cars. I kind of, after the NEC with the Yugo as well, and there were a couple of problems. I know it did come up at the end if you've seen that video. Obviously, there's still loads of other stuff to do on that car, but there's so many projects. It just, you know, gets on top of you sometimes. You're just like, what am I doing? I just had to take a step back and go, right, I've got a couple of spare parts. Can I get this going? And it did go, and I've had a lot of fun in it since it's been back. Yeah, sure, I've only done Foxfield since it's been back and a couple of small runs, but I'm hoping to take it to retro rides, which hopefully it makes it to. And, you know, it's just nice to see it back. And I guess it's brought a little bit of that spark back and maybe a little bit of motivation to do something on some of the other cars as well, so I actually get to doing more on this car eventually too. And let's just go over a couple of things we've done with the car then since we've had it. Bar silicone hoses. What modifications have I done? Well, we've got the Wartburg Knight Mark IV badge, and it's a nice chrome one now, which big thanks to Simon for getting me that. It's really nice quality and really nice. Speaking of the chrome, I had to get these. So I've got the chrome edged indicator lenses. I've got white wall tyres, of course, Maxxis, very nice. And holding up really well considering they've been on there for a few years. Got a couple of stickers. We've got the OG cars, we've got the Staffordshire one, Young Retro Motor Club, of course. And we've got chrome edged on the rear lights as well, very nice. Annoyingly, cracked a little bit on one side. And we've changed the rear exhaust, which sounds absolutely amazing, possibly a little bit too loud. Obviously, the mid box is removed as well because it's got that really weird, funky setup exhaust. No idea who put that on, but it sounds great anyway. Well, it's time to get back now, so hopefully that's enough of a reintroduction for you guys on what I've done with the car recently, a couple of things we've done maybe longer term, and what maybe the plans are for the future. If you've got any more questions on the car, please do let us know, because it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on everything as well and the style of this video. And well, I guess that's really it. So big thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next one.